What's going on, guys? In this video, I'm going to show you guys how we create 20 to 30 high converting videos for our clients every single month and how you can do it for your company with very low effort. All right, let's dive right in. All right, guys, let's use a live example. This is a client that we literally just signed up, Functional Spine Chiropractic, okay? So before we go and shoot, we need to plan out exactly what we're going to film. I cannot stress that enough, okay? So this is how we do it. So first of all, we look at their Instagram. What do they have set up? What's the bio? Go on their website. What are they promoting on the website? Because to make the content, we need to know what type of services they really want to push. In this case, they really want to push personal injury. And now I know that they do these other type of treatments. So just in case, I want to include some of that content in here. Give them feedback exactly how I see the website and the bio. I give some suggestions here, right? Again, the goal is to grow cash and insurance patients. So we want to make sure we send the content around this, right? But obviously there's a lot that goes into it when it comes down to, again, we're talking about content that's high converting. We're not just talking about content just for content. We want content that's high converting. So it's really important that their goal is to grow cash and insurance patients. Okay, cool. So first of all, if we're going to post content on IG, then we make sure that IG looks good. So we give them bios, and yes, we do use ChatGPT and Claude. However, we use that as a starting point. We don't use that as a final product. We always enhance a couple of things, and sometimes working with ChatGPT and Claude is like working with another employee. You know, you really have to train it, you really have to go through it, and you really have to think through exactly what the emotion and the triggers are for their type of clientele that they want to attract, and then put that into the bio. ChatGPT is not going to know that. That comes with conversation with the actual client, with the actual prospect. So we go ahead and we make sure the setup is correctly. We want to suggest the highlights there. And then what we do is, before we start making these content pillars, obviously we have the conversations with them, but we also research their competitors and what type of content their competitors are doing that's converting well, or like they're getting a lot of views, engagement, and just overall how consistent they are with it, right? Because if they're not consistent with the content that they're doing, then that's probably not working. That's probably not working well. If they've been running the ads for a while, and then when we look at that framework that they have, we take a little bit from everything, make it into our own, and then obviously implement it for whatever their personality is and what they want their brand to be. So just to give you a backstory, this company, if you look at their Instagram, they have a lot of like type of skits. And when I was speaking to Victor, the owner, he does not want any skits. He wants to look like a very professional brand. So when we're doing this research and knowing what his goals are, because again, it matters what their goals are, and it matters about how we're trying to attract that type of clientele. We need to align both, right? So being that he doesn't want to look like, he said he doesn't want to look like a clown, then we're going to go ahead and make sure that the research that we do is with companies that are promoting that type of professional look, and making sure that we promote that for Victor as well, with his type of personality and his type of culture that he has for the team. So that's how we go ahead and develop the content pillars. So it's going to be informational and cinematic. You know, what's causing this pain, a good posture check. Basically, this right here is the list that I would go over with Victor to make sure that he's aligned on, like, all right, this is how we're going to promote that professional brand, and how we're going to help position you as the authority for chiropractic services here in Tampa. So once he aligns on the vision, right, and then I'll give my suggestions on culture and fun, because I feel like even though he didn't like that type of content, it's always good to have, because it's going to develop a good type of easing relationship with the audience, especially for a chiropractic office, because you're going in there to relax. You're going to the doctor. You want to make sure you're comfortable with them. So we want to have this kind of sprinkled in the middle of like the main piece of him making his brand and his content look as professional as possible. So once we align on the vision, then I'll give him some suggestions on like some TikTok videos that I saw, some Instagram videos, and if he likes it, just to kind of copy that same framework and apply for his company. And then, you know, how does this content convert? So the content converts based off obviously what we're doing, right? The type of stuff that we're promoting, And then we're also trying to make sure that the offers match the actual content, right? So for example, if we're trying to give out a free posture check, are we doing posture type of content? How to sit at a desk, how to make sure you check your posture at least for 1 hour a day, stuff like that. If we're really trying to use that as a lead magnet to, just give people as an incentive for following the page or interacting with the content, whether that's liking, that's commenting. We can include some calls to action at the end of the content, even though we want the organic piece to be as relationship building, as much as a relationship builder as possible, rather than ads. For ads, we're trying to sell. For organic, we're trying to nurture relationships and kind of disguise the sell in a way. So again, if we're trying to do for the offers a free posture check to have them come in, we have to make sure the content relates to how to sit at the desk, how to make sure that that's always good, anything that has to do with good posture. Once we have that aligned, that's when we go ahead and book the film date and we can knock out all these pieces. So right here, easily there's 15 pieces. So obviously right here with collaborations, we'll call somebody or have somebody come through. They'll probably comp an hour for them to do an adjustment. We're filming the exact content we need for the type of prospects they're trying to attract with the organic. We developed the funnel. Once we were able to collect the phone number and email from giving away that posture check or booking that appointment, that's when we can start putting them into follow-up sequences that we have outside of Instagram, outside of social media, through Go High Level, to make sure that we can convert them into customers or we can have them as referral partners. So that's exactly how we go ahead and plan 20 to 30 pieces of video content every single month for our clients. For this particular client, we have them on the 3-month. So we'll make sure that on the first shoot, we can cover as much ground as possible. And then we'll also teach you how to record content so that you wouldn't always have to go in there and exactly on what you need to capture based off what we did on this session. So it's a collaborative session, very productive, and just 2 hours of time dedicated to making sure what the content pillars are, who you're trying to target with that content. It's going to save you, one, a lot of money on the ad spend, and two, it's going to save you a lot of time, energy, and bring you peace of mind because you're creating content now with intention. So I hope you guys found this valuable. If you like the video, like, comment, subscribe to the channel. I'm going to drop a lot more videos like this going forward, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.